Hi, I'm Michael Burgio. A question I get asked quite often is, should I buy residential or commercial property? What I take from my clients who have done really well, and when I analyze their portfolio, is they've got the great foundation of residential. So 1, 2, 3 or 4, which gives them a lot of capital growth, lower risk, lower vacancy. That's essential for your property portfolio before you make the transition to a commercial purchase. The key differences between buying residential, commercial. So let's take $1 million residential purchase and $1 million commercial purchase. The deposit. Residential generally 10%, so $100,000. Commercial is about 30%, so about $300,000. Interest rates can vary. Residential is generally about 1% lower, so 3.5%, where commercial is about 4.5%. Funny enough, they both equal the same interest per year payable. It's about $31,500. The reason is your debt on the residential, because of only a 10% deposit, is $900, compared to commercial, it will be $700,000. So the key difference, a residential purchase in the market on the northern beaches, you would be looking for a rental return about $800 a week, so about 40 grand a year, where a commercial property at that price point would be looking to return about $1,250 a week, so about $65,000 a year. So both properties worth $1 million. One is generating $40,000 a year, one's generating $65,000 a year. Key difference on that income as well, the residential would be a gross rent, where you've got to minus your council rates, your land tax, your strata, so it probably comes down to a bit more like $35,000, and most commercial leases would be negotiating plus, so you'd be getting a net figure of $65,000 a year. So what does that mean? That means positive cash flow, technically for both purchases, but the residential property would generate $5,700 per year positive cash in your pocket, where the commercial property will generate about $33,700 a year after your interest payment. Keep in mind that figure was about $31,000 a year. That all sounds great, but what are the hurdles? What stops everyone doing it and prevents them from doing it, or makes it look a bit overwhelming to do it? Key things are bigger deposit, almost 3 times the amount compared to residential. The vacancy. Most residential properties are leased between 7 to 14 days. A commercial property can be empty for 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 months at a time. The 2 biggest hurdles on buying commercial property is the bigger deposit. You generally need 3 times what you need for a residential property, and the vacancy period as well, because your property could be empty for 1, 2, up to 6 months, even a year, and that interest on that loan is still due. But if you can take all that into consideration, getting the correct financial advice, as we're not a financial planner, but I'm just sharing the feedback and experience I've had from successful investors and what they look for and how they calculate it, is let's look at a 5-year term, where a lot of leases for commercial are 3 to 5 years. So using the figures earlier, $1 million purchase with a rental income of $65,000 a year, and the $40,000 from residential. At the end of the day, how much extra cash are you going to have in your pocket buying a commercial property compared to a residential one using that case study? Let's look at a 5-year term. That with a positive income on residential of $5,000 a year and the commercial about $33,000 a year. After 5 years on the commercial property, you're going to have $191,000 of positive income come in. So even if you factor in a year being vacant, that interest at $31,000 a year, you're still positive $150,000, $160,000 a year compared to the residential property after that same period of $30,000 positive cash. So if you're looking for positive cash flow in your property, the commercial sector is phenomenal for that, and the yields can range from 6, 7 to 8%. For any more information, feel free to contact myself or the team.